And at the time when I asked him, it looked like I needed to shoot minimum 3, if not 4 or 5 on the back. And I made a few birdies, but then I bogeyed 17. And when I bogeyed 17, I thought for sure there was no chance even of a playoff with a birdie on 18. So I asked him, and I said, we're out of it, right? And he says, no. Par, you have a chance for a playoff. Birdie, definitely a playoff, maybe even get in with no playoff. So I got all excited again, made it 15-footer on the last hole, which was a great feeling because I knew making that putt, I was going to have a chance at least in a playoff. So that is it's a long day, especially for someone who understands how sweet it is to be in a major, especially U.S. Open here at Pinehurst. It was like there was that pressure on me, but I think it was good and bad. I think the good was it allowed me to really take the qualifier serious, do my prep work beforehand, and don't take it for granted. And, I'm so happy. The scores weren't that good the second round because it got a little tricky, but it was good enough.
Jonathan and then Bob.
Yeah. When you think about Pinehurst, is there memories that come right to mind? Is there a round or a hole or anything? What's something that pops in your mind first?
Well, I said this the other day. I'd never won the Putter Boy Trophy, so I never won the Donna Ross Jr. or the North-South Jr. or the North-South Am. But my father and I, we won the Donna Ross father-son the one day. They always did it the day after. And it was alternate shot. We were in a playoff. And in the playoff, my dad drove in the fairway. I hit it to 3 feet, and then he made it for us to win. And I was so excited. He looked at me like he was mad at me. And I'm like, what? We just won. And he's like, don't ever do that to me again. Like, hit it to 20 feet. Don't hit it to 3 feet. And so we finally won. But, we had state championships here. We played at number 6, number 8, number 4, and number 2. So there's just so much history, whether you look at junior golf, high school golf, college golf, amateur golf, it was all right here.
Bob on the left.
Hey, Webb. A couple of past major champions have made it in through qualifying, including yourself. I'm just wondering, having been on the other end of it and then having to do it that way, maybe what kind of perspective that gives you and if it's satisfying to do it that way.
Yeah, it's definitely a perspective shifter because when things are going well, especially when you're young in your career and you're exempt for a few years, you don't even think about it. You plan your schedule based on the biggest tournaments, the biggest purses or FedEx Cup points given, and you really don't think about it. But when you're not in these tournaments, and it's been a while since you just could look at the schedule and pick what you wanted, you realize, man, scheduling's hard. I don't know if I'm going to play Canada because now I have a qualifier I got to get ready for. I don't know if I'm going to play this week because, I might get in that tournament. So that's definitely a harder piece of it. I think having not been in the majors, the last few majors, I'm definitely more appreciative to be here and kind of more excited to be here and compete against the best players. But I think all of us golfers would agree, all we want is to play against the best players in the world in the same week. And I have a chance this week. And I guess my last major was last year at the PGA Championship, but I received a special exemption to get into that. So definitely satisfying to qualify, knowing I earned the spot, I guess.
Also, just wanted to ask you, in your business role these days, I'm sure you saw where Rory said on the other day that he was actually fairly pleased with the way that their talks went on Friday with that transactional committee. And I realize you're not part of that, but you're part of the bigger picture. And do you have any update or sense from your perspective of where things stand right now?
The only update that I really have is basically what you just said, that Friday went really well. I think there's positive momentum going right now. I think both sides seem to not only be engaged, but want to continue to be engaged as much as possible. And that feels good. It feels good that we're finally at a place where I think we all want similar things. And we all recognize that the game of golf is healthier when we're moving in this direction. There's so much excitement with so many guys playing well. Scotty dominating. I almost feel the excitement in the air this week already on a Monday. And so I think Rory's right, and he knows more than I do at this point. But I'll know a lot more come Tuesday next week after our board meeting.
Back right to Luke.
Hey, Webb, you mentioned Scotty a couple times. I'm just curious on your perspective as someone who's been doing this for a while now, what he's done, really even just this summer, the way that he's kind of come out on the hardest courses and played as well as he had, and how hard that really is.
Yeah, it's probably what happened the early days with Tiger. You kind of get used to it, so it becomes less of a big deal. You know, it's almost like an afterthought. Oh, Scotty won again this week. He's doing everything exceptionally well, and I think what people don't talk about enough is like his attitude and the way he thinks. You know, he makes less mistakes than everyone else. He does what you would expect a pro to do. He capitalizes on, wedge shots and par fives, but he just doesn't really make mistakes, and he's so hard to beat, which is, probably makes Davis Riley's win at Charles Schwab even that much sweeter to him because he was able to get him. The rare time we all see it, but to play this well for this amount of time, I mean, it's been a couple years where he's for sure the guy to beat every week. It's fun to watch, and I don't see any reason that he's going to slow down anytime soon. And he just had a baby. So I think all the players are like, man, maybe he's sleep deprived, but even if he is, he's still winning. So good for him.
On the left, Lee.
Webb, what have you seen with the preparation of the green surrounds? Or is it the same as 2014? And what are your thoughts on just how to play those recovery shots when you miss a green?
Yeah, they're pretty similar to 14 from what I remember, and I'm using 3-wood, which I never used throughout the year. But I did it in 14. I saw somebody doing it, and they made it look really easy, so I tried it, put it in play that week, and I haven't done it since the 2014 U.S. Open, but already I'm realizing it's pretty easy. I got a lesson from Chesson Hadley. He's really good at it, and I think that why I love it is it comes off the face a little quicker than a putt. And it's just hard to have consistent contact chipping the ball because every lie around these greens, everywhere you go, side, front, doesn't matter, it's into the grain. And so you chip 5 balls, you're probably going to chunk one of them.
And a quick follow-up, having known the golf course from years back, when you came back in 14 and the 4th and 5th holes had been flopped from pars on the 2 holes, what were your thoughts on that, and how does it affect the way those 2 holes play now?
I think the correct order is how they have it now. 4 is more of a par 4 green. It receives shots a lot better. 5 is a little more diabolical, which I think par 5 greens should be a little harder. And so I think it makes sense. And they had the land to do it on the 5th hole. And so, I mean, look, 4 is still 525, I think. And so it's still a very hard hole, but definitely makes more sense, I think, with the flow of the golf course to do it that way.
Just a few more back on the right, Chip and John.
Yeah, Webb, you mentioned your dad, Sam, and winning with him the tournament down here. Just U.S. Opens are always on Father's Day weekend, seems like. And just what do you think your emotions will be this week? And what lessons did you learn from your dad?
Well, I think about him every day. I really do. This Pinehurst was where he was his happiest. We lived in Raleigh. He worked really hard, but when he would come to Pinehurst on a Friday, you'd really see him kind of decompress, and he loved to play golf. So I do think about him every day. I probably think about him more here than anywhere, especially in CCNC, where our house is. And he would be thrilled to death that I qualified. I think he'd have been a nervous wreck on Monday, but he'd have been here walking with me in the practice rounds. And I think, what did he teach me? He taught me so many things. I was actually thinking about that recently. I had a friend text me yesterday who's on tour, and he said he's watching his son playing a junior tournament. He saw another kid move his ball in the rough, and the kid didn't know he was watching or anyone saw it. So my friend's text me. He says, do you think I should go tell his dad? I'm like, yeah, definitely tell his dad. But that was one thing my dad taught me was always do the right thing. Golf's a game of integrity more than any other sport probably, and you gotta call penalties on yourself if it happens. Do your best. Don't quit. There was a lot of points on Monday where it would have felt nice to just go to the car, but I kept going, and I think he'd have been proud.
Just curious, Webb, did Dowd have vacation plans this week, or did you tell her not to make any, or how'd that work?
No, she believed in me. She didn't have anything planned. In fact, she was planning to come here. So the girls get out of school Wednesday, and she's coming down.
Last question on the left, Pete.
Hey, Webb, what are you feeling more? The comfort of being home or the pressure to perform well while you're home?
I think the comfort of being home. I mean, kind of like Bob asked, the perspective shift is I felt more pressure in 14, my first time playing a major here, and I was whatever I was in the world, top 15. But now, being here, I kind of see it as a gift to be here. I didn't get in. I had to go qualify, and so I feel like it's all upside. And my game is so much better than it was a year ago. And so, as weird as it sounds, I feel like I can compete. And so I'm not going to be happy unless I play well overall, but I am thankful to be here. So I think I use all those things, the comfort of being here, to my advantage.
Great. Well, good luck this week, Webb.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, see ya.